So why is cognitive fitness training important in your organization? I'm Dr. Seth Hickerson, founder and CEO of My Steady Mind, and you're about to learn why. We had a pretty bad mental health problem before COVID, and it's just gotten exponentially worse. In fact, NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, does an annual survey that says what percentage of the U.S. population 18 and older has mental illness, and the last one came out said 20%. So 1 out of 5 Americans has mental illness. Those people need treatment. Those people need medicine, psychologists, counselors, right? What that also means is 80% don't. 80% need training. And so that's what My Steady Mind is for. We're here to help those people that are just dealing with some of the daily stressors of life, learn some real-world practical tips and techniques to help them manage those emotions. And what's going on in our society, and you might be one of them, most people that are struggling with just daily stress or exhaustion, we've been conditioned to be in this streaming and consuming mindset, meaning we're buying all the self-help books, we're listening to YouTube podcasts, we're following influencers, we're just consuming and streaming information, hoping something sticks, right? I hope I read something or hear something that changes my life. That's not the most effective way to go about it. There's streaming, consuming, and then there's training. I'm a veteran. Most of our teams are veterans. We're a veteran-owned company. The one thing the military does really well is training. We train physically, technically, mentally, so that we can be prepared and calm in potentially the ultimate chaos. This course was created by high-performance coaches and people, sports psychologists, military special operations, professional athletes, people that have been through the ringer in life and have been in the arena, and they know that it's the mindset stuff that lets them overcome and persevere. And we wanted to make that available to you. And specifically, what this training helps you improve are the 6 skills of cognitive fitness. And these are skills. These aren't just buzzwords that we throw around. So you're going to learn how to improve resilience, presence, focus, confidence, gratitude, emotional intelligence. Those are things that we might not be good at, but we can get better at with training. So My Steady Mind is like the mental gym. I use the example, if I wanted my bicep to get bigger or my body to get in shape, I can't read a self-help book about it. I can't talk to you about working out. I have to go to the gym and do the exercises. So if we want to be the best at our craft, then we have to know how to train in 3 dimensions. And those 3 dimensions are physically, technically, and mentally. You go talk to any leader or coach out there and they're going to say, oh, it's about the mindset. The mind's the most important thing. And I'll ask them, so how do you train mentally? And usually they don't have an answer. And so I just help them understand that that's a gap and we can help you fill it. I say all the time, 1,000 push-ups doesn't protect a fragile mind. So I've been training athletes for a long time, and mental training used to be the secret. It still is kind of secret, but if you're paying attention and watching sports these days, you're going to start to see a lot more athletes doing mental training, mindfulness stuff in game, before game, during game. So this is a great clip of LeBron doing a meditation during a timeout. He's not over there getting ramped up before he shoots his free throws. He's not over there having everybody smack him on the back. He's getting himself calm. He's controlling his nervous system. He's visualizing the task that he's about to do at hand. So the best of the best do this. Most people have just not been aware that they do it, and most people have never had access to the tools that they use until now. I've been in the fitness and wellness world for a long time, and often we talk about mind and body, but there's never been legitimate training to address the mind until now with what we're doing. These aren't soft skills. The best people in the world, whether it's military special operations or athletes, they're doing this. They know it's not weak. They know it doesn't mean that they're soft. It's giving them an edge, and that's why they do it. So you're going to see more and more of it in society today. The course that we offer is going to teach you all the exercises and techniques so that you can learn to create your own steady mind formula, which is your ECR, your emotional control routine. That's going to be 3 exercises you do in the morning to get you steady and ready for the day and into flow state, plus IERs, intermittent energy renewals. Those are like the BAMO breath, quick hitting techniques that you can use throughout the day to get you back to steady and in flow state when you're unsteady. Because let's face it, we live in a very unsteady world, and the people that are going to succeed the most are the ones that can stay steady, and this is the training that helps you do it. So what does steady mean? What is flow state? What's the thing we're looking for? It's about living, working, performing in this perfect balance of relaxed awareness. That's where we want to be. I don't want you to be too relaxed. I don't want you to be too aware. That's what steady means. And that's flow state. And with this steady mind formula, and by taking our course, you're going to be able to create your very own training routine, and routines get results. In the military, they used to always tell us there's 2 ways to do things, the right way or again. So get in there, practice this, have some fun with it, create your own routine, and be one of the steadiest minds out there. For a long time, people in the brain health and research community thought a person's brain couldn't really change. One of the things that they did during fMRIs, which is advanced imaging, they did this on a monk during meditation about 30 years ago, and they could see that this monk during meditation could proactively facilitate the process of neuroplasticity. So what's neuroplasticity? Neuroplasticity is just our brain's ability to change. So here's a tip. If people would start updating their brains like they update their phones, we would have a much healthier, happier society. So the mindset is made up of neural pathways that have formed over however long you've been alive, right? So we've formed processes, neural pathways for X amount of years, 30 or 40 years. And if we say something long enough or strong enough, it creates a neural bundle. The neural bundle locks those pathways in place, and then all those neural bundles make up neural networks, and then that series of neural networks makes up the anatomical structure of your brain. That anatomical structure, your brain set, produces your mindset. Make sense? And so that's what we're going to do through this training is we're going to teach you how to facilitate the process of neuroplasticity so that you can start to identify some of those bad things that you do that you're trying to fix. Right now, you might be kind of thinking about other things in this, thinking about that meeting you have later in the afternoon or something you need to do 2 weeks from now. I want you to really zero in right now and pay attention to what I'm about to tell you because it's the most important information you'll ever learn. I want to teach you about the process of STIA, stimulus, thought, emotion, action. This is the process. We talked about those neural pathways, remember, forming. This is the process of how those form. A stimulus creates a thought creates an emotion. Emotion is literally energy in motion. Emotion drives action. So most people, and it's probably you right now, don't have any awareness of this. So they don't have much control over it. So they're just at the mercy of all stimulus. Everything we do as humans is driven by a stimulus. And we receive stimulus a couple ways. We receive it through our senses, hear, feel, smell, see, taste, touch, right? And then we receive stimulus through limbic resonance, which is an energy transfer. And so we're processing stimuli all day, and that stimulus is creating thoughts. And so if I see or hear something bad or taste something bad, it creates a bad thought, bad emotion, bad action. Most people, there is no awareness, obviously. So there's no gap or space between a stimulus and a thought. So it's just stimulus, thought, emotion, action. Stimulus, thought, emotion, action. That means they're at the mercy of all stimulus all day. And we know we live and work in a world and in a society that's filled with negative stimulus. So that's just a lot of negative thoughts, emotions, and actions. What we're doing through cognitive fitness is improving our awareness of stimulus and then using techniques and tactics like a breath technique, a visualization, a mantra, affirmation, whatever, a biohack, that when we get hit with a certain stimulus, especially a negative one, we can create some space, and now I am in control of my thoughts, emotions, and actions. So I have the ability to reframe it into an opportunity. It makes me feel more empowered instead of vulnerable. And so this gap is what we're going to learn how to create. So that's great. STIA is amazing, but how does it affect my team? How does it affect my group and my organizations? So what this training really allows people to do is be more aware of and have more control over the 2 things that control everything in your life: your thoughts and your breath. Your thoughts control your mind, and your breath controls your nervous system. Again, most people out there that aren't mindful, don't do any kind of cognitive fitness training, they have no awareness over their thoughts. So their thoughts are all over the place all day. That's just mental energy, and they're tired, they're exhausted, and their breathing's very shallow. They're breathing just through their mouth, and so we're just in that sympathetic nervous system. We feel tight, we feel anxious all day. This kind of training is going to let you start to have more awareness and control over your thoughts and your breath so that you can control them both. Be a steadier person, spend more time in parasympathetic state, and have a lot more energy and focus and clarity. So when it comes to really understanding these 2 things, our thoughts and our breath, and how we become more aware of it, step 1 is thinking about your thinking, right? Or paying attention to your attention. That's all mindfulness really means, is just I'm aware that I'm thinking. not just thinking all over the place. And so when you start to slow down and you do some of the exercises and activities in this course that help you start to bring attention to your thoughts, and you can start to observe your thoughts in real time, and then you're in a power to do something with it. Do I let it go? Do I reframe it? I'm not just overwhelmed with an onslaught of thoughts, especially a lot of onslaught of negative thoughts. And on negative thoughts, you probably have a lot of them. That's normal. Don't beat yourself up. It's natural to have a lot of negative self-talk, a lot of negative thoughts. And that's because our brains are wired with a negativity bias. So it's normal. So just know that that's what we're working to do is step one, metacognition, starting to learn how to think about our thinking so that we can begin to create the gap between a stimulus and a thought. We as humans, when we get up every day, we're on the lookout for these three stimulus. Can I eat it? Can I sleep with it? Can it kill me? We're scanning the environment for that consciously and subconsciously. You can turn on the news, I don't care, pick a station. What you're going to see is a good-looking reporter talking about death, destruction, and violence somewhere in the world, followed by food commercials. They're hitting those three stimuli. So that gets a person to stare at the screen. Two most valuable things you have is your time and your attention. You can't go to Amazon and buy more time or attention, so we need to protect them. So now we're going to talk about step two, your breath. The breath is something that's with us all the time, and again, it's something most people have no awareness over. And what our breath does is it lets us control our nervous system. So our nervous system is what makes us feel the things we feel. And our nervous system really has two functions. Sympathetic, which is fight or flight. Parasympathetic, the parachute, which is rest and digest. And so for people that don't have any awareness over their breath or they've never really done any breathing techniques, they breathe very shallow, meaning they just breathe through their nose, kind of shallow and rapid. When you're doing that, you're not breathing deep down into the lungs to hit the diaphragm. The diaphragm is what sends a signal to the vagus nerve, if I can nerd out for a little bit. The vagus nerve is what activates the parasympathetic, right? So if we're just shallow breathing all the time through our mouth, we're going to feel more tired. We're not getting as much oxygen in our body. And we're in that nervous state even when we're trying to relax. So we have to learn through breathing techniques how to recondition our body so that we breathe deeper, more natural. We want to make sure our people are spending most of their day in parasympathetic so that if and when they need to activate the sympathetic, it's spot on. When it comes to cognitive fitness training, along with breath work, there's all kinds of other cool exercises like biohacking techniques, visualization, thought stopping, reframing. That's kind of like the dumbbells, the bench press, and the squat rack for your brain. So you're going to learn a bunch of other ways to train, but the breath work and paying attention to your attention, that's the foundational stuff. Step one is self-awareness. One of the most powerful things a person can possess is self-awareness. So self-awareness means that I'm aware of my emotions in real time. I'm able to observe them as opposed to evaluate them. You know, I can notice that I'm anxious or lonely or depressed and know that that's a normal emotion. A lot of times I'll tell people, name it to tame it. Oh, hi, anxiety. Where'd you come from, right? Have fun with it. Note it. Label it. Just say what it is and let it go, as opposed to, I'm so angry. I'm so mad. Why am I so anxious? Step two is regulate. So with better awareness, I can start to regulate my emotions in real time, whether it's a breathing technique, a visualization, a mantra. This course is going to teach you all those techniques so that you're going to be able to improve your awareness and, more importantly, regulate the emotion. Now, the Jedi stuff, the stuff that gets really cool and really fun, is step 3 and 4. Step 3 is situational awareness. So who am I around right now? How are they emotionally, right? Your intuition, your ability to pick up and read a room is going to improve significantly. And you're going to know that you're around people that probably don't have this skill set. They don't know how to regulate their emotions. So step 4 is situational regulation, which means I can regulate the emotions of the people around me when they don't know how to increase the probability of whatever I want to happen happening. Imagine the benefit of that, especially if you work in a field like law enforcement, anywhere where you work around people that could be volatile. And I want to give you one quick technique and tip so that you can learn how to regulate emotions of people around you. So I'm a human behavior guy. Humans have our basic needs: food, water, shelter. All humans have a basic want. We all want one thing, and that's to feel like I matter. So 99% of the time, if somebody is around you and they're upset or angry or whatever, it's because someone or something, and this is important as a leader for you to know, someone or something has made them feel like they don't matter. So a tactic I use, a visualization, is when the person's kind of going off on me or whatever the case may be, I'm breathing, controlling my energy. I'm not cutting them off. I'm not jumping over the top of them. I'm breathing, and I'm picturing them wearing a necklace that says I matter, like a big gold chain, or you can picture a shirt that says I matter. That's an external cue for me that when they get done, I need to say or do something that makes them feel like they matter. And by doing that, it gets them back into kind of feeling like they're heard. It de-escalates the situation, and now we can have a better outcome instead of a bad one. So now it's time to do a little bit of work. I told you you're going to have to work in this. So we're going to do a thought-stopping activity. And I really want you to pay attention to how this process goes and how it feels as you're doing it. So thought-stopping is like mental reps. It's a way that's going to help us become more aware of our thoughts and then figure out what we can do about it. So you've got an activity assignment here to do, your thought-stopping activity. What I want you to do is take the next 3 to 5 minutes, and on the top of the line where the X's are, write 3 to 5 statements that are things you say to yourself that might be negatives. All right, so now you have your negative statements written down. Now what I want you to do is go back up to the first one, and whatever that negative statement was, if it was something like, nobody likes me and I'm not a good person, reframe it. And that means write something positive. Rewrite it in a positive way. Don't just make it an opposite, so to speak, but really put some thought into it, all right? So I want you to pay attention to this process and write down a reframe positive statement for all the negative statements that you wrote. Great job on that assignment. Now I want to debrief just a little bit. First, was it hard? Is your brain hurting from trying to go through that exercise? It probably is. And I would be willing to imagine that it was pretty easy to write the negative things. You know, you might have kind of gotten through that pretty quick and simple. It's always amazing when I do this with teams, and I would encourage you, maybe take this sheet and go do it with your team and watch how they do it. But it'll be pretty easy for people to write the negative, but then when I have them write the positive and reframe it, you'll see the pencils don't move, you know, or the typing doesn't happen. They'll just sit there and they're stuck. And that's a mental block. That's because that negative thing I've said for so long was easy, and now when I try to go down and do it again, it's like the curls, like, ugh, it's hard because you're trying to generate enough energy at that specific neural pathway and break it through a process called neural pruning, breaking that and then forming a new one. And so that's an example of a mindful rep, reframing activity. And so, like I said, you might feel worn out mentally for doing it, but that's because you just put your brain through a workout. Now you're going to learn one of the most effective techniques you'll ever be exposed to. This is going to help you de-stress instantly and help you out in so many situations starting today moving forward, the BAMO breath. So BAMO is a 4-second inhalation through the nose, down into the lungs and the stomach. You have to hit the diaphragm. Diaphragm sends a signal up to the vagus nerve, and that activates the parasympathetic, or calms you down. So it's really 8 seconds to de-stressing. So now let's do a BAMO breath together. I'll count you through the first one, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, and then I'd like for you to do one on your own. All right, you can close your eyes. Let's do the BAMO breath. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. One more on your own. BAMO. Feels good, doesn't it? So one of the best things about this training is this is just that. It's training. It's not treatment. We also say we are high tech and high touch. That's what a lot of us need out there. We need more accountability. We need more people lifting us up and giving us guidance. And so this isn't just some online course that you're going to take and send your stuff onto the cyber cloud. You're going to have our elite cognitive fitness coaches backing you up the entire process. You can't grow if you don't know. So what's that mean? Part of this program is to get some baseline information so you know where you're at in this process. Just like if I was going to go start working out at the gym, I got to go step on that scale and look down and see how good or bad it is, right? We have to get some baseline information, so you'll take your pre-assessment, and what we're looking at is the 6 skills we're teaching you to improve: presence, resilience, focus, confidence, gratitude, emotional intelligence. And with your team, everybody takes it. We'll put it in a summary of findings. De-identified. None of your information gets shared to anyone within your organization or anyone within your group. It all stays with us. We just share back the data so that we have a baseline of where we're at. Again, de-identified. So everything we do stays with us. And then that lets us know where your team is. And then we go through the training, post-assessment, post-summary of findings. So if we saw that on the pre-summary of findings, your team struggled with confidence, that was the lowest score. We go through the 9 weeks, post-assess, and if we see that now confidence has gone up and we've learned how to train mentally through the boot camp, we've learned how to create our formula, mental training makes sense, then we identify what's the next lowest score. Let's say it's gratitude. Then based on that, we can design a program, a workshop, whatever it needs to be to focus on that specific skill. So that's how we do it. We make sure it's data-driven, it's customized to meet the needs of your team, and it's actually prioritizing the things that are the most important to you. So if you're a leader out there looking to provide your team with skills and tools that are going to help them perform at an elite level and just be healthier and happier, you're in the right place.